Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be talking about pretty much all of the singles that have been released for the new Demon Hunter albums War and Peace. I figured since there's 6 singles out now, 3 from each album, since they are releasing 2 albums on March 1st, I think, I'm decided I'm gonna kind of do a video talking about all of them, my thoughts on all of them, and kind of ranking them from what I believe are the weakest to the best. First thing I want to say is that the 2 new singles, More Than Bones and Close Enough, I've only heard each of them a couple of times, since they only came out yesterday at the time I'm recording this, so my opinion on those songs might change as time goes on and maybe even when the album actually comes out, because for some reason oftentimes it seems like some of my least favorite songs that I hear either as singles or when they first get released in the album, I don't like them as much, and then they end up sometimes becoming my favorite songs on the album, so you never know. But anyways, I'm pretty much going to be just going from my least favorite to my favorite and kind of giving you all my thoughts on each song. So first, I've got the 3rd single from the album Peace, which is More Than Bones. This is my least favorite out of all of the singles that have been released. I do think it's a good song and I do enjoy listening to it, but something about it I just don't really care for too much. Although it is a catchy song, I think it's got that going for it. The chorus is pretty good as well. I also really like there's kind of an short little acoustic section right before the last chorus that I really like. But to me, there's nothing that really kind of stands out about it. It's just, to me, not an incredibly great song. It's still a good song, but I can't say that it's one that I can see myself going back to a whole lot. It is the first song on Peace, and I don't really like that, because I like to, for me personally, I think it's good for an album to at least have a really strong beginning and a strong ending. And if this is going to be the beginning for Peace, then I feel like it's not going to be an extremely strong beginning. But either way, it's a good song. It's just not as good as the other ones, if you ask me. Next up, I've got the 1st single from Peace, which is the title track of the album. I actually do really enjoy this song quite a lot. Like, if I were to give a ranking, and I don't really like giving like rankings out of 10 just because I feel like that's too simple of a solution, but if I were to do that, it would probably be like an 8, maybe 8.5 out of 10. It's still the other songs I just think are better. But I do really enjoy the song. I think it's a solid song to be a title track for the album. I think it's a good song and all of that, but my main issue with it is that I don't think it's a very good single, or at least a very good first single, because it was, again, the first song that we heard from the album Peace. And being accompanied by the song On My Side, which I'll get to later, I think it was just not a great combination. Of course, they're supposed to be 2 separate singles, but still, comparing it to On My Side is, it's just not as good as that song, I think. But anyways, it is still a good song, I just don't think it really works quite as well as a single. Next, I have the 3rd single from War, which is Close Enough. Now, on first listen, I actually preferred More Than Bones over Close Enough, but I just listened to the songs again a second time, and I actually enjoyed Close Enough more than I enjoyed More Than Bones. I think Close Enough is a really, really good song. It has a really good chorus, and I mean, that can be said for pretty much all of these songs. They all have good choruses, so at least you can tell that these 2 albums will most likely be pretty strong as far as that goes. There's also kind of a breakdown, like 3/4 of the way through the song roughly, that I think is really cool. I really like how the drums are done in that breakdown as well. It just sounds cool. I do think that's a really good song. It's just kind of got a different feeling than other Demon Hunter songs, and certainly from some of the singles. I would say that as far as these singles, this is one of the most diverse collections of Demon Hunter songs that I have heard. But yeah, it's just a very different feeling, different sounding song, which I think is a really good thing. I'd want them to do stuff that's a little bit different and try some new things, and even though it does still very much seem like it is a Demon Hunter song, it still shows that they're doing something a little bit different, and I don't know exactly what it is, it just sounds different to me. I don't know if any of you get that impression, but yeah, it's a good song. And next up in the top 3 now, we just got done with the bottom 3. I've got the second single from War, which is The Negative. This is a song that at first I actually didn't like that much like Close Enough. I didn't really care for this song too much on first listen, but as I've listened to it more and more, it has really grown on me. And I think this is a really strong song overall. I really like kind of the verses. At first, I really didn't care much for the verses, but I really like how they sound. Again, kind of a unique style of verses for Demon Hunter, I think. And the chorus is really good, and coming to the verses too, I really like how the song just kind of begins. I don't believe there's any sort of like intro to it or anything, unlike, you know, a typical song like might have like the main guitar riff or whatever play in the beginning, and then it goes into the verse, whereas The Negative just starts right in, which I really like. It gives it an extra element of uniqueness. But I really like that. I really like the chorus of the song. I really like the name of the song too. This was one of those songs, there's several of them on both albums where I would just look at the name and I'm already intrigued. And this is one of those songs. It's a really cool song, I really like it. And then my second favorite of the 6 singles is the second single from Peace, which is Recuse Myself. And this is not a typo, recuse is actually a word, I can't remember what it means. But at first I thought it might have been a typo, but it is actually Recuse Myself. But this is one of the most unique songs that Demon Hunter has ever written, if you ask me, and I'm sure that many of you probably feel the same way if you've heard most, if not all, of Demon Hunter's music. It is a very, very, very unique song. Zakady, who is another YouTuber who I have mentioned a few times in my videos, he said in his review for this song, as well as The Negative, that this is probably the most mellow that Demon Hunter has ever been, and I would say I would have to agree with that. I don't know if it's necessarily the most mellow, but I can't really think of a song that is more mellow than this song, and it's just a very different, unique song, and for some bands, different and unique kind of scares me, because on one hand I want them to try something different, but on the other, I feel like they should just stick to what they already know and do well. I really like the chorus, the vocals are really nice. There's some piano in it that really adds a lot, I think. It's just a very different sounding song, and it's done very well. My one complaint about it, though, is there's synths in it, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think that's fine. But there's, at the end of the song, there's these synths that are kind of higher pitch, whereas the rest of the song is kind of lower bassy kind of synths that actually I think work pretty well. But then at the end of the song, there's these higher pitched ones that just sound horrible. So I think if they just took that out or replaced it with a different instrument or something, then it would work better. But that's really the only negative thing I have to say about the song. So overall, it's a really fantastic song. And finally, my favorite song of all the singles, and the very first single that I heard from these albums, is On My Side, which is the first single from War. This is, if you ask me, pretty much very close to a perfect Demon Hunter song. It has pretty much everything you want aside from like being heavier. It is a heavy-ish song, but it's all clean singing vocals, there's no screaming in it. So in that way it kind of reminds me of songs like What Is Left or Savage, which are both bonus tracks of theirs actually, but kind of one of those kinds of songs where it's a little heavier, but it's has no screaming in it, which I think is a really interesting combination. But it's just a really fantastic song. I really like the lyrics to it. I love the chorus. The chorus of this song is one of Demon Hunter's best choruses ever, if you ask me. It's really, really good. Ryan Clark's vocals are great in all of the singles, but especially on this one, I think, and it's a big highlight of the song. It's just a song that I've gone back to a lot. There hasn't been any single that I've gone back to as much as this one. And I would not be surprised if this ends up being one of my favorite songs, not only between these two albums, but one of my favorite Demon Hunter songs, period. Really fantastic song, I really, really love it. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. So that's kind of my ranking of all of the singles for these two albums, and my thoughts on them. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of them. What would be your ranking from best to worst? And what do you think of the songs? Are you excited for these albums? So that is pretty much it for this video. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.